Hi, Rebecca here. Thanks so much for joining me on your mat today. Today's practice is all about slowing down in a yin style class. I'm going to have us begin on our backs. If you've got a block or two blocks, I probably am just going to use one, but some of us might want to use two. We're going to begin in a reclined butterfly. And I like to add a little bit of a heart opener to mine, which is where I'm going to use my block underneath my shoulder blades. Now you could do it on the low or the medium setting here, depending on how high up it feels comfortable to elevate the shoulders, and then letting the head drop back. And for myself, putting the block on the medium setting, I am going to use that other block on the low setting to support my head. The other way I could do this is by putting the block in the lower setting underneath my shoulders, and then my head actually comfortably reaches the floor. So setting yourself up in this heart-opening rest pose, soles of the feet grounding into one another, the pinky edge side of the foot rests on the floor. If this felt like too deep of a hip opening, or opening across the groin, the inner thighs, you can always place the blocks underneath the knees. So let's just begin by dropping into our bodies through the breath. Inhaling and exhaling through the nostrils. And start to follow the breath where it moves, where it's expanding into, where it contracts as you release it. You notice the temperature of the breath on the inhale and the exhale. So I've had kind of a stressful week. And one of the practices we can do to get out of, because it was all mental. It was all mental looping stress of my own creation, reacting to circumstances that felt unmanageable to me. And one of the practices we can do to get out of the looping thoughts, and this is something that is related to somatics, is we start to notice. So we're feeling stressed. Where is it in the body? You notice, like, is my heart rate elevated? Is my mouth dry? Or maybe I'm over salivating. Are the palms sweaty or hands cold? Is there tightness in the body? Do you feel tightness in the shoulders? When I'm stressed, it is usually a constriction happening through the lungs and the area of the heart, where I feel somewhat suffocated, or I can't take a deep breath. And what happens by simply noticing is we get out of the thoughts and we get into the observer, the witness. We're not judging. This is not a place to judge what's happening. It's a place to notice what's happening. And this is a commonly used practice. In fact, I'm reading a book right now called, it's a pretty popular book, The God of the Woods, Liz Moore. And one of the characters, a mother who's lost a son and her daughter is currently missing. She had a breakdown after her son and was having nightmares, so she saw a doctor and the doctor prescribed her medicine. But one of the doctors, and it might have been the same who prescribed the medicine or a therapist, not sure, gives her this technique of when she's in this stressed out, panicked state, that she notice just literally like ticking off items that are in the room. Like green carpet, pink flower, door handle. It's a very similar technique, right? But in somatics, we're inviting into the interior experience, the inner world, versus the outer world. But both techniques seeking a similar result. So let's take 3 to 5 more deep breaths here. I'm going to stop talking and allow you just to kind of sink into your own experience. So let the hands come to the knees and draw the knees together. Extend the legs forward. You can either use your hands to press up, or you can do a slow lift just to set those blocks off to the side. And then coming back down onto your back, maybe hugging your knees into your chest, doing some knee circles. You could even do a little supine frog here, and letting the knees move up and down, kind of rocking through the hips. You're either going to roll up or press up to a seat. We're going to take a similar shape with the legs, but rather than butterfly, and you can do butterfly if you'd like, I'm going to encourage you to do a diamond pose, which is taking the heels further away from the groin. So a little bit bigger of a shape. And then just taking some torso circles around. And eventually switching directions, taking it the other way. And straighten the legs forward. Draw right knee in toward your chest. Take it over to the outside of left leg. And we're just going to do a seated twist here. Right hand comes behind. You can hug the knee into the chest. You could do the fly style arm. But I want you to think about pressing your navel toward right thigh. So we're encouraging to lift up and out of the low back. I'm not one to say slouching. You shouldn't slouch. I slouch plenty on my own when I'm just kind of lounging around the house. But this is the time I want you to bring a little more awareness. We're just trying to play with some more extension in the spine versus any rounding. Just allow the breath to rinse up and down along your spine. We thought of the spine like a sponge or a cloth that we've soaked up all kinds of information with it, or stress, that now is the time where we're just like letting go of the excess. If you would like to add a little IT band stretch on here, left hand comes to the pinky edge side of that right foot, and you kick that right foot off to the left. So we're targeting this outer thigh and hip area. And 3 to 5 deep breaths here. Begin to bend left knee, resting right ankle on top of the knee. Hands come behind the back. Rock the hips side to side. Let the foot and the knee move right to left. Back through center, extend left leg to the back of your mat, or the top of your mat. Right foot inside of left leg, Jani Shirshasana, or a seated tree pose. And then hinge and fold. Now, if you find the thoughts looping, bring yourself back into the body. Where do you feel the stretch here? Where do you feel the opening? Where do you feel like maybe you're holding and you could soften a little more? And maybe it's mental clenching versus physical, but we're just in the practice of just being aware what's happening without judgment. If you would like to add a little twist here, I like to grab the pinky edge side of the foot and then reaching left hand back, adding a little twist along with the fold, or you just twist. Explore, be curious. There's more than one way to do any of these postures. And depending on what's happening in your body today, you just want to listen and pay attention. It's like just offering our loving awareness to ourselves. And then slowly rise. If you would like, let that right foot slide out. We're just going to do a counter stretch, stargazer, lifting the hips to release that fold in the spine. And then bring it back down. Right leg comes forward. Left knee draws in. Take it to the outside of right leg and we twist to the other direction. Choose your arm position. Notice what's happening in the low back. Are you rounding? Try to press your navel toward left thigh, lifting the top of the head away from the tailbone. I'm trying to clear up any kinks in the hose. If we think of the spine as like an energetic garden hose, and I'm pretty sure we're all familiar what happens when a kink gets in the hose. The flow stops, the water stops. I want to remove those kinks through posture and then encouraging the breath to draw up and down along the spinal column. There is a tremendous amount of messaging from the brain to the rest of the body, from the heart to the rest of the body. So how we hold ourselves really does matter. And not every moment to moment, right? But over the bigger picture. Adding that IT band stretch if you'd like, grabbing hold of the pinky edge side of that left foot. Left foot is kicking over right leg. And we stay in the twist here. Unwind, bend right knee, rest left ankle on top of right knee. Seated figure 4 with hip rocks side to side. Janu Shirshasana. Bring the sole of left foot inside of right leg. You might stay upright here or add that fold as you soften out over right leg. So part of the stress that has landed in my body in recent weeks, it's the back of left shoulder, which has been a spot for me for a long time, 20 plus years. And sometimes the sensation is negligible, and other times it is intense. And then my low back, I'm feeling a little more strongly. So as I'm holding this fold, I'm just offering more breath. I often forget to breathe into the back side of the body, and our torso expands in all directions, front, back, right, left. So if you have any areas on the back side that kind of need that life force energy, breathe into it. Know that you can expand the breath even out the back, even though we can't see it, right? Often we're so focused on what is in front of us. And there are things that are happening even if we can't see them behind us. Some would say that the back side of the body represents the past. Maybe things we don't want to think about, past regret or hurt. If you would like to take this into a twist, that left hand comes on the outside of right leg and kind of deepening the twist to the right, and then maybe adding that fold, continue to fold as you twist. You got to play around with it though in your body and notice what is in service or support rather than creating resistance or more tension and holding. And gently release, letting that left foot kind of slide, left lower leg slide a little bit further forward. Option to take a little stargazer, lifting the hips, releasing that fold, and we just take it in the opposite direction into a back bend. You know, whether you know this or not, you are constantly doing these things. You know, if we have been folding forward like gardening or sitting in a chair, it's like the body wants to get up, right? We automatically know kind of like what the counter stretch is, which is such an amazing thing, whether we think about it or not. Come to a tabletop and then press your heels back, child's pose. This can be a knees wide or a legs more narrow towards center. This is another great posture to offer that breath into the backside. And think about everything, how much our spine does to support us. We wouldn't have this physical structure if it weren't for the spinal column, the axial skeleton. It is at the center of everything. It is the gut-brain axis that runs along it. Let's rise up through table and then press back, downward facing dog. Maybe you pedal it here or walk it out. And start to walk your hands back toward your feet, forward fold. Inhale, half lift and lengthen the spine. And then bring your thumbs to your hip creases. Press your elbow tips to the ceiling. And then lift through the back of your shoulders, the back of your head, rising up. Let's reach our arms up overhead. And then exhale, drop the arms down. Roll your shoulders up toward your ears. Take them back down and around. Squeeze them and hug them towards your spine. Lift your gaze. And then start to drop the chin towards your chest. Let your shoulders round and roll forward. Forward fold. Walk your hands forward into a plank and step right foot wide. Bring left knee down. We're going to do a little bit of a twist, right hand to right knee, and we're just going to do a little gentle hip opener, turning our torso to the right. And come back to center, lunge. And press back, half splits. We'll do that a couple more times. So lunge to twist, back to lunge, and half splits. Last one. And then bring right foot down. We're going to step left foot wide. Play with that lunge. Left hand to left knee, twist the upper body to the left. Back to center, half splits. Lunge. Add that twist, hip opener, lunge, half splits. Last one. Step left foot back, press back, down dog. Walk your hands back to your feet, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, thumbs to the hip creases, elbow tips toward the ceiling. Lift through the back of your shoulders and your head. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, release. Roll your shoulders up towards your ears. Take them back, around, and down. Gaze up. And then chin drops toward the chest. Shoulders roll forward. And with a round spine, fold forward. Walk your hands forward. This time we're going to step right foot forward. We're going to bring the knee down, twisting open to the right, and then a little quad stretch. 3 to 5 breaths here. And release. Step right foot back. And step left foot forward. Right knee comes down. Twist open to the left. Option for that quad stretch. 3 to 5 deep breaths. And unwind. Step left foot back. Down dog. All right, we're going to step right foot forward. And I want you to, we're going to come into a pyramid variation with an IT band stretch. So step your back foot in closer. Heel toe your foot. Actually, sorry, you want a long stance. We're going to heel toe that right foot over to the left so that we start to stretch through this outer hip and outer thigh. And then bend into the knee as if you're going to come down into pigeon, but we're not. We're just doing this kind of like half pigeon pose. IT band stretch, then both legs straight, and then we press the hips back. We're going to do that a couple more times. And then this next time we're going to set up for pigeon. So you might heel toe that left foot over a little further to the left. And I always like to remind people, if this were a clock, 12 o'clock being the top of our mat, your knee could be at 12 o'clock. Your knee could be at 1, 2, 3. I don't know anyone who can get it to 4, but I'm sure there's someone out there. Maybe that can even get it further. But if you think of that knee as like one of the hands on a clock, you get to choose where it is. Square your hips, square your shoulders, fold forward. Of course, modification here is figure 4 on your back. And we did a seated figure 4 earlier. We'll just be taking it directly onto the spine to do the hip stretch. And we're just going to soften and breathe here. So we have all these very weird social norms, if you start to think of it. As I was thinking about somatics and getting into the body, and I think about, people's comfort with crying, and whether you feel comfortable crying in front of others, or is it okay to cry at work, or here's the thing, crying is a release. It is also literally the release of cortisol. Cortisol, the stress hormone, is released through tears. Sometimes we can release stress through, laughing, but it's not, I would never encourage anyone to hold it in, right? It's really, really important to let it go. And that tears don't make you weak, don't make you too much of a girl, or whatever the associations with it are. And it is okay to cry at work. I know that is not probably acceptable on many levels. But if we need to release stress, you want to let it go. You do not want to hold on to it. Take another couple of deep breaths here. And then we're going to slowly rise. And tuck those back toes and gently draw that right leg back, down dog, pedal it out. And then we're going to step left foot forward. Okay, I'm going to set us up a little better this time. Keep the long stance. Heel toe your left foot over to the right hand side, straightening both legs. You might even roll onto the pinky edge side of that left foot for this IT band stretch. And then we're going to let the hips come forward, bend that knee out to the side, and then straighten and press back. So a little floating half pigeon, and then press it back. Again. And this last time, we're going to set up for our pigeon. And I'm going to heel toe my left foot over to the right hand side. Now here we are at the clock again, imagining where we're going to place our knee, whether it's at 12, 11, 10, 9. Hips and shoulders both facing toward the floor and softening. You could use a block underneath the hip if you feel unevenness at the tailbone. So I think it's important to, we're all modeling to one another. And for whatever reason in our culture and in other places in the world, for sure, it's this idea of remaining stoic, when we're in front of others. It's, when I think of the royal family, it almost seems like a sense of pride, that Queen Elizabeth never showed emotion or that kind of vulnerability in front of her people. And maybe she did, but that's not my image of her. And somehow that is highly regarded. But when we start to talk about somatics and connecting with our bodies, and when we are in stressful situations, like we want the feelings to flow. I think we all pretty much know at this point in our evolution that when we hold on to feelings, we store them. Eventually they need to be released. So why not let them go in the moment? So important to just honor wherever we're at. And slowly rise. Walking the hands back, tuck your back toes and gently glide that left leg back, down dog. And come into child's pose. Let's take 3 to 5 deep breaths here. And the only thing I want you to do is soften, both mentally and physically. Imagine yourself just kind of melting into the surface that supports you. And slowly rise. Wishing you all an amazing rest of your day. Bringing hands to heart center. Hariam Tat Sat.